The majority of this video, I will talk about one particular book that I didn't publicly recommend. So this is not a recommendation book or a recommendation video. This is just me talking about books. This video script, because I just wanted to make this video slowly for my sake. When I talk about books, I just can organize them. I list things, my point, so that I didn't lost them and it didn't sound like I mumbled. But I probably will, because this is my third take. This is serious, okay? I wanted to make this video because I make a channel. My YouTube channel is my own space where I like the only person that watch my video is me, and I will rewatch it later in life. So this is something just to market that I love this book, that I love to mumble about this book. This is what I did. I talked to myself. That I'm going to talk is obviously this one, Pretty Book. Oh, when I say Pretty Book, I've actually crushing on this book since August, which is like I believe was like the announcement of the book. I immediately loved this book. I mean, I couldn't call it love when I didn't have it. I was like crushing, but then when I got it, I believe that was love, because I want to protect this book. I want just, when Jack Edwards say if his house is on fire, he'd save this book. I understand that type of love for this book. That is not exaggerating. It is all makes sense. And also look at the back of the cover. And I have never experienced love or romance, not until this book. Okay, so let's start as to why this book is an amazing book, because of why this book is my favorite book. Obviously, I'm going to start basic with the writing style. I'm going to be biased in this video because even before this book, I already love Sally Rooney's writing. It's just such a masterpiece. It's just I'm not smart enough to describe how it felt, how good it is, so I can't really describe them, but it's just, I love her. I love that woman. I want to have her brain, and if I could spend a day with her, I would, even though I don't think she'll like me. I think we've been in an awkward situation. I sometimes imagine, you know, what would it be to spend a day with Sally Rooney. There's one of the characters is actually a novelist. One of the two main characters are actually a novelist, which I assume myself that it was a self-insert characters from Sally Rooney, and I'm just gonna say that it felt like to assume this. It felt so good to know a little bit like a peek of, you know, what might have been Sally Rooney's life. It felt good. You know what, if she asked for me to clean her house, I would dig the trash just to see what she wrote. That's just like how much I love her, and I would do it for free. So Sally Rooney, if you see this and if you need some cleaners, I volunteer. The ending of this book is so unique because the first chapter you got a narrative point of view. Second chapter you got a email part written by two main characters. So there's two main characters. What's so unique about this is that the odd number is the narrative point of view, and then the even number is the email part. It's actually hard to describe, but you got a narrative point of view, then you get an email, and then you get a narrative point of view, and then you get an email, and this email is from different point of view, from a different character's point of view, which is amazing. Listen, there's actually a story because this is my last book in 2021, even though 2021 was my hot girl era, and I never actually read that many book in my life. So for start, I'm not a professional reader because I started reading intensively like last year. I mean, I always read in my life, but I never read that kind of like many book like last year. But then in August something happened, you know, I got issues with myself, and so I have like a hard time reading. When I stopped reading, I actually, because again I was struggling with myself, I have issue with myself, I talk about stuff to my friends. I'm pretty open with what's going on with myself because I don't really have a lot of people in my life, so I share things to them. I sent email to my best friend about how I felt, about, you know, how grateful I am that even though I'm dealing with all of that in August, I still got her. And I did that with email because I just don't feel like telling some dark things through visual text, so I just do that through an email. And then so when I first read the email part, I was mesmerized. Whoa, it made me so happy. It felt like I like the characters that Sally Rooney writes. I just gotta say it. Me and my best friend, because we live in, far away from each other, we kind of live like Sally Rooney's characters, and it became my personality trait since then. What brings me to the second point of as to why this book is my favorite book. The complexity of the character, and I talk about this in my Instagram, how Sally Rooney's character have this complexity as a real human, and it gives you such a comfort or such a real feeling as a real human, like us people. He said also about this to my best friend, that she reminds me a lot of Sally Rooney's character, or she is like kind of like a person that Sally Rooney would write about. And that is like just a proof that how complex and how real it is. The character felt. The characters actually made mistakes as a human, and then like they're not all perfect. This is what I found it very, very interesting, because there's again two main characters, and they do have similar opinion or beliefs, but again they also have different thoughts about things and how they perceive or they see things. And each of the characters not all put together, and they have the moment where they, oh yeah, this is it, this is life, and then again like, yeah, it's not actually like all good. Life is not all good. Life is not all good, and that's okay. And that's what brings me to the next point of why this book is my favorite, because the book didn't really describe a perfect world, but they give me such a weird comfort. It felt real, like it felt like a world like what I live in. Like Sally's details very cinematic. The important thing, this is why I call this book love, because when I read the first appearance of Simon and Aileen together, I remember having this feeling of, oh my god, this is why I love reading. I closed the book and it felt so good to feel that feeling, and I hope everyone experience that feeling, not only by reading books, like just general things that you usually do. And I hope you have that flicker of realization of why you enjoy doing that thing, because I think we as a human sometimes forget or aimless in doing life, and it's not good to doing things aimlessly. So yeah, I hope everyone got that feeling whenever I had when I read this book. It talks about world, and it's not solely focused about romance or love. This talks about universal things. Realize I love to widen my horizon.
Enough to know that your horizons must be widened.
I want to talk about the side effect of reading this book, because as I said, that this book didn't solely focus or centered around love or romance. This book talked about a lot of things. There's also romance, there's also friendship, there's also a lot of things that interest me, but didn't focus on one romance, which was a very, very legendary moment for me, because after reading this book I actually struggled reading romance book, and romance book is something that I used to enjoy. It was like I was confused. I was actually sad because I couldn't read it. I thought romance couldn't help me. I don't think anything would. I realized maturing now that when you're in relationship, or when you like someone or have romance in your life, it doesn't center around that topic or center around that person. There's a separate life of that, and I don't find it now entertaining to focus on one person in a book, even though there's romance. So yeah, there's a genre shift. That's just how powerful this book are. That was an opportunity for me to start reading a book about people's background, about people's cultures. That's something that I didn't do much when I read about romance. My shelf was very wide. Also, Asian literature, so good. I didn't know that before this book, so I again thank Sally Rooney for this, and thanking this book for this being a good influence on me. That's it. That's probably it. I'm now can sleep peacefully now. I'm talk about it loudly. Maybe I will talk about another book. I don't have like any book in mind, but I actually enjoy talking about book. Yeah, okay, bye.